I'm playing to win, I'm playing to win, I'm playing to win. As I reach inside and dare to be great, I dance, I yell, and I celebrate.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Breakthroughs Before Breakfast. My name is Annalise Brownlee, and this week's distinction is good is never enough. In his book, Good to Great, Jim Collins says, the vast majority of companies never become great, precisely because the vast majority of companies become quite good. That is their main problem. So what's the difference between good and great? Well, the word good is defined as sufficient or average, whereas great is defined as remarkable, exceptional, or outstanding. Let me give you a little example. Do you know what temperature in degrees Fahrenheit water must be in order to boil? Well, at 211 degrees Fahrenheit, water is hot, but it won't actually boil until it reaches 212 degrees. Once it reaches that temperature, it can then boil. Boiling water produces steam. Steam, unlike hot water, has the ability to do incredible things, such as power locomotives. But if it doesn't push that extra degree, it will never boil. It's the same as the effort that we put into our lives. Oftentimes we'll get to a point where we're quite good. We're seeing results and our finances are better than when we first started out, so we settle. We stop pushing for more and striving to be better. Why? Because we're good, even though we're not yet great. If you truly want to be great, then the mindset of good is never enough is absolutely critical. Now, let me make a very important distinction. There's a vast difference between the mindset of always wanting to be better versus nothing is ever good enough. The power of this distinction comes from the mindset of what can I do better? What can I do to be the best? This doesn't mean that everything you do along the way has to be the absolute best. It doesn't have to be perfect as you're going along. You have to be able to move on and keep progressing. You have to be able to look at the overall picture and realize that there's always room to reach higher, that there's always room for improvement. It doesn't mean that you have to critically analyze every single micro detail of everything you're doing in order to move on. In the world of business, especially that of entrepreneurship, and in most other aspects of life, the ones who are typically the most successful are the ones who are able to achieve that extra something, the ones who give that extra push when everyone else has given up or settled. So this week's world leader is the man known as one of the 19th century's most prominent captains of industry and one of the 20th century's most famous philanthropists. This week's world leader is Andrew Carnegie.
When Andrew was a young boy, his family emigrated to America. They went to Pittsburgh to live with relatives. His family was struggling to survive, so at the young age of 13, he began working to help support the family. One of his first jobs was as a messenger boy. When he got the job, he memorized every street, building, and businessman in every house in Pittsburgh. Because he had this ability, he won the reputation of being the fastest messenger in the city. This job and reputation opened up many opportunities, skills, and connections for him throughout his life. Within only a few years, he worked his way up in the railroad industry and began making investments, which brought in substantial returns. Later, he became the manager of the Keystone Bridge Company, where he learned about the steel industry in depth. By the next decade, most of Carnegie's time was dedicated to the steel industry. He opened his first business, which became known as the Carnegie Steel Company. After building his first steel mill, he learned that his mill was not up to its highest productivity level. There was new technology and equipment that, if used, would dramatically improve productivity, efficiency, and in the long run save the company large amounts of money. After learning this, Andrew decided to tear down the steel mill and rebuild to accommodate the new technology. By doing this, the Carnegie Steel Company revolutionized steel production in the United States. He built plants around the country using the newest technology and methods that made manufacturing steel easier, faster, and more productive than ever. He owned everything the company needed to produce steel: the raw materials, ships and railroads for transporting the goods, and even the coal fields to fuel the steel furnaces. This start-to-finish strategy helped Carnegie become the dominant force in the industry and an exceedingly wealthy man. The Carnegie Steel Company became the largest of its kind in the world. In 1901, Carnegie sold his company, which he owned over 50% of the stock, for $250 million, which in modern times would be worth several billion. With the Carnegie Steel Company behind him, he devoted his time to philanthropy, opened up the first public libraries, and encouraged other wealthy members of society to do the same. In every area of his life, Andrew strove to be great. He once said, "People who are unable to motivate themselves must be content with mediocrity, no matter how impressive their other talent."
So this week, my challenge to you is to take a look at yourself and evaluate the current stage that your business or career is at. Are you satisfied? If not, what are 3 goals that you can achieve in order to help take you to that higher level? Leave a comment below and let us know. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to tune in again each week for another episode of Breakthroughs Before Breakfast.